and thank you for joining us. Um, literally just managed. I've just literally just arrived in Sheffield. Sort of came in the door with a wet dog. Um, Managed to get on the Wi-Fi. Somehow have managed to set up a space, and so yeah, we're here. Mason, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, did you guys get in the door okay? Did you get in the door with the pooch, the dog?
We just got in.
Everybody okay?
Yeah, we just got in. Yeah, like literally, we just sort of arrived. And
Okay.
how's the sound? Sorry for everybody watching this live. It's not very interesting, but how's the sound?
It's good.
It's
It
good.
is good. It sounds like your normal microphone. Yeah. I'm actually the one trying out a new microphone. So does my sound okay?
Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah,
Okay.
cool. Okay, well, today we're going to talk about safety. I think that was one of the things that we Mason and I were chatting earlier in the week, and we were thinking about what would be a theme that's kind of relevant to a lot of people. And having a safe space, or feeling safe within yourself. And actually, one of the things that kind of made me think of that as well was because I think that the way that you hold space for people, Mason, I think it's that's something you've trained in with the safe space counselling that you do. And I thought it'd be quite interesting to talk about the kind of principles that you've learned in your training, and some of the things that you do when you're holding space for people. And then maybe we could talk about you know how do we make ourselves feel safe in a world that often doesn't.
hmm hmm Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I could share some of the stuff that I've learned and been able to kind of practice and experience, and some things I've learned from other great people today, definitely. But even this, like the why, I mean, like, why is it important? Why would you want to feel safe with someone else, or why would you want to feel safe with yourself, or why would you want to provide a safe space for someone else? I feel, I think those are like healthy, important philosophies, or reasons to consider why. And and I think it's a lot of self work too, like creating safe space for other people. I think it's a lot of your self work maybe that kind of reflects like how you do it for other people, or like why you do it for other people. And I mean, of course, like skills and training or techniques really help, but but yeah, I took a counseling program to try to understand myself a little bit better, and that sort of kind of one thing led to another, and one thing led to another. And then I ended up working in the field, and I ended up working with great people. And it turns out the other part of taking that program was I get to work with great people, and I really love it. Yeah. So I'm finding a real big sense of fulfillment in helping others with these ideas and talking and safety, right? I yeah, and so through the counseling training, I kind of discovered, oh yeah, like this some of the principles they talk about of holding a safe space and why it's important is like if you have a safe space of where trust and loyalty and respect can be built or fostered, in therapy they would call that a therapeutic relationship. And so once you build a trusting relationship with somebody, kind of anything from there can happen. And yeah, I think just garnering trust, and which can take a while. Sometimes you meet with people and you kind of just click, and you think, oh yeah, like it's everything we're saying is synchronistic, and, which is beautiful. And sometimes it's like, oh, get to know somebody first, or what are your values, and you kind of ask questions and have these conversations. And and yeah, I just find if you make people feel safe, then uh, then it's okay for them to like open up. It's okay for them to kind of, come into some good ideas and whatnot.
Yeah, so So, I mean, one of the first things that makes me think of is, um, acknowledging the person, or acknowledging our own emotions. Because often we don't feel safe. We feel
Hmm.
like we're going to be judged by other people, or that we feel like we're not going to be liked. You can feel like you can that you have to sort of be a particular way in order to be acceptable. So I think one of the things about being in a safe space is that it's where you know your feelings are acknowledged.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
like often feelings and emotions, like the situation might be creating an emotion or a feeling in the body that to somebody else they're like, well, that doesn't make sense, why are you feeling like that, that's silly. But actually for the person who's experiencing that, that's kind of the worst thing. It's the last thing you need to hear is now to be told that, like, when you feel like you're doing so many things wrong, it's like, what now, even what I feel is wrong. So I
Yeah.
think the foundations of feeling safe in a safe space is where, you know, we just recognize that, life is complex, and our emotional responses to things are very personal, and they don't necessarily have like a rational logic to them. But actually, every feeling is a legitimate feeling. And I think that sets a space as well, because you could be, because we're sort of talking about practitioners as well. I mean, a practitioner that feels threatened by their client or the group is feeling. That's difficult for everybody. So I think one of the things you do learn over the years of working in this field is that you kind of learn to be okay, and to understand that, to understand a person from their point of view, sort of step into their shoes and look out through their eyes, and try and I think we can, we can all do that in our day-to-day lives as well. We can, not that we'll be good at it, but I mean, one of the things that, certainly, this is the thing that comes from the Course in Miracles. It's just, if you're just making the effort to do that, like, it doesn't matter how badly you do it. It's just like, it's a world of difference if you're making the effort to understand other people and not to judge them, and try to see things from their point of view. And you might fail 99% of the time, but it's so different from what, some of the more toxic side of things that we see, where people are just shouting at each other, either literally or metaphorically online, screaming, shouting, calling each other names. They're making no effort, zero effort. In fact, maybe really holding on to the idea that, why should I? This person's feelings aren't legitimate. Even this person isn't legitimate. So, and we do see a lot of that online, and I think because it's so predominant online, you can get the wrong idea. I think I'm very, very, very much of the opinion that the majority of people, the vast majority of people, are good, and they kind of want they want to be healthy. They want to care for. They want to be respectful towards other people. Generally. But the people who make a lot of noise and don't do that, they're very, very visible. Plus, we know that the algorithms online promote divisive, kind of fear-based stuff, because it gets attention, and it's, attention. You can monetize attention. Yeah. So I think just making the effort to understand each other, even if we can't do that, I think that's part of it for me. Yeah, I don't know what you think of what that brings up for you.
Yeah, a lot of stuff for sure. Yeah, all like those are all really true thoughts for sure, Mike. Yeah. Um, when you said like that it's coming onto us, like we're getting, bombarded with what to think, it tells me, you know, the algorithms are designed to create divisiveness, or there is that out there. So we kind of have to have this defense against it. There's something pressing on us, whether it's advertisements or algorithms or, the whole capitalism thing, everything. Life presses on you. So you kind of have to press back a little bit. And I think that the like trying to create a safe space for others, it like, I was thinking a good place to start is yourself first. I think anything you can do well with yourself might or will translate into your ability to do that thing with other people. Like something that came up when you started mentioning was acknowledging all these feelings, right? All these specific feelings that we have. And as we start to pay attention, and we've talked about on other um, shows we've done, is the more you start to pay attention, the more that you have these thoughts. You're like, oh, like I actually have a lot of thoughts all the time. And a lot of those thoughts are like repetitive. Some of them are new, some of them are good, some of them are stressful. And then they all really seem to have a feeling that goes along with them. And they all, and even though closely look, they have a bit of a story that goes along with them, right? Um, and I think acknowledging all of the feelings that we have or thoughts we have sometimes is like really tricky. Sometimes admitting things to ourselves is like, oh, I can't believe I'm thinking that way, or maybe we'll have a thought 1,000 times before we say it out loud or say it to somebody else. So I think that is one skill that can be practiced with yourself is looking at thoughts or looking at feelings and, you know, trying to take an honest look at something that comes up in you. And trying to remember like every time you do this, oh, it's like you're just looking. Like you're just looking at a thought, you're just looking at a feeling that's coming up, an emotion that's coming up. And you don't necessarily have to act on it. And it's actually harmless, and you're not doing anybody any harm by looking at or observing quietly a feeling or emotion that comes up within you. And a lot of them come up automatically, right? A lot of our feelings and emotions come up from life, from the world, from our subconscious, from wherever they come, they just automatically come, and then they're in front of us. Certain thoughts can stick, and then we're on this loop for an hour or a day or 10 minutes or 5 minutes at a time, but you do it 30 times a day because you're overthinking about something. Um, and so just practicing observing that, and it doesn't have to be meditative and deep and ceremoniously like set up. You can practice observing your thoughts and emotions anytime, anywhere. And like any skill that gets practiced, as you develop the new neurons to do it, which takes a little time, takes some each situations, you can begin to then do it while you're having a conversation with somebody. You can, oh, how, like, yes, I'm listening to this person, but how is what this person's saying or doing making me feel? And like you listen to them and then you just listen to your body. It's like, and the last thing I'll say about it is it's like when you're practicing a new skill, like when like a baby was just like picking up this water, it would have to take all of its energy and focus to pick this up. But as we practice, I can like talk to you and hold this, I don't have to look at it. And so as we practice this skill of just taking an honest, non-judgment look at what's coming up automatically, that can slowly over time reduce some guilt and shame, those emotions that get in the way of connecting with somebody or yourself.
Yeah, it's a big moment. I think it's a very significant moment when you get the idea that I can watch my thoughts, and and just the idea that there can be a separation between you and your thoughts, I think is a very, very significant moment in a person's life. And you're right. You're talking about it as being a skill. I mean, it's not something that I can do all the time. I'll get caught up in my thoughts, and I'll start to fall for the basic trick, which is because I'm thinking the thing, I feel. Maybe I need to go back a little bit. So the oh, and by the way, welcome to Courses for Spirit, Spiritual Sundays as well. If you've just tuned in, you're thinking, what is going on? Yeah, I'm Mike Warwick, and this is Mason Christian,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're talking about safe spaces. How do you feel? How do you create a safe space for other people, if that's something that you do as part of your day to day, or if how do we create a safe space for ourselves, especially when we're on this spiritual path of awakening. Um, so, I mean, if I go back maybe, oh, I don't know, 25 years or something like that, and I was sitting in my psychotherapist's office, and she said, "Well, look, if you want to understand your thoughts, like just think of a light switch." And I was like, "Okay, I can do that. I can think of a light switch." And she said, "And now look at the bulb." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, there's the light switch, there's the bulb. What happens when I press the switch?" And I went, "Well, the bulb comes on, yeah." And she says, "Well, and what happens for the bulb to come on?" She said, "Well, electricity, you close the circuit and the electricity goes to the bulb and the bulb comes on." Yeah, and she said, "Well, if you think about a thought like that, so you have the thought, it's like you switching on the light, there's an energy goes, and then you have the feeling in your body. So there's a signal that moves through your body and you have the feeling in your body. And if you're thinking a self-attacking thought, the feeling in the body is going to be really, really, difficult to deal with. And if you're thinking a more self-soothing thought, then you'll feel better. And so that was a big moment for me. I remember sitting there just going, how did I get to, I don't know, I was in my 30s, I think, when I first heard that. And I was like, how did I get to 30 without ever having any concept of that whatsoever? Because up to that point, I didn't have any choice, but I would just believed everything I thought because I thought it was true, because I thought it, because it felt true to me, because I thought it. And that still, millions and millions of the people on the planet who would be living like that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, for sure,
so,
Mike.
so it is a big. I think it's a highly significant thing because I also find that like sincere people who are like working spiritually, they often, we're often quite hard on ourselves. We're often quite hard on ourselves. But I think we have to. I like the way that you're breaking this down as well, because it's like actually that little thing there, which seems like a little thing, is a big shift in your consciousness, and it's something that um, to give yourself credit for. So there's a dog. You can't see the dog. You might see his tail in a minute. He's going to knock the computer off. I've got. I've
I
got.
don't want to.
Oh, here he
Is he
is.
dried off? Is
He's
it
kind
him?
of.
Is he dry?
He's kind of dried himself off. Yeah. He's had his
Oh, yeah.
dinner. He's very happy. I'm just gonna. There's some people have joined the Zoom. I'm just going to bring them in.
Sure.
We've got Jane and the Chief of Staff. I think they'll both have their video off. Thank you. Great to have you with us. Thank you. So, shall we? Mason, I always kind of look forward to your guided meditations. Um, I
Oh,
just,
yeah.
I just feel you have a particular talent for it. So, should we, should we have a guided meditation? Do you think maybe something that can just kind of bring us into a sense of a bit of a safe space?
Sure. Yeah. 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 We can do that, of course. And I'm glad that you and I can connect when we're trying to, yeah, yeah, like, um, do like a meditation together, or sinking into presence of meditation, however you want to feel it. But just yeah, we'll create this safe space now, like for yourself. We'll just try do a little practice. But just before we do, yeah, the as I went through the counseling program and I kind of practiced and I started working in the space of therapy, um and even in throughout my life I've been told, oh, it's nice to talk to you about this. I find it easy to talk to you about this. And so I kind of I kind of wanted to really explore what the feedback I was getting from people. And I found that um when I connect with people, I enjoy to try to really foster this safe space of non-judgment and a place where you can kind of think and honestly be yourself, kind of think and say and do um like what comes up for you, and and what automatically comes up, right? Because a lot of stuff is happening for us automatically, right? Where we got an autopilot and we have a lot of stress that happens. And I even learned in cognitive behavioral therapy, we've got thoughts that kind of run on, and thoughts lead to feelings, and feelings lead to behaviors. So yeah, I found like an effective, soothing approach to any of that, to all of that, is this idea that there's safety in the present moment, there's safety within yourself. There's a place, there's a conceptual place of safety you can create with your mind. You can bring like to now, to right now, and that will have an effect on your physiology. So keeping that in mind, if that meant anything to you, I wanted to say that because I wanted to take that sentiment forward into the meditation right now. So we'll do we'll do a brief one, and I want to do a brief one because it's going to highlight what I mentioned earlier about you can tap into this briefly. You can tap into this calmly and gently. You can tap into this without making a big deal out of it, sitting in a quiet room, sitting in the lotus position, having to meditate. This doesn't take any expertise because you're starting to create this practice for you. And you create it from level one. And every time you do it, you pick up where you left off and you slowly become the expert in your own practice, in the safe space that you create for yourself. And we focus on creating it for ourselves first. And when we do that for ourselves, that's how we create it for others, rather than techniques or textbook terms that we go and try to use. So we'll begin. Thank you for listening. Apologize for all the talking. But but as you begin, I begin the same way every time, which is noticing my breath. I begin to just notice my breath. And right away, without trying to change anything or fix anything, just pay attention to your breath. Pay attention to, are you breathing through the nose? Are you breathing through the mouth? And the more you pay attention to your breath as it's naturally happening, try to notice and allow everything else to slowly fade. Without trying to turn your thoughts off abruptly, just continuously come back to the breath, noticing it. It's about focusing on the breath, not focusing on turning your thoughts off. And now slowly begin to join your breath. Begin to breathe in with awareness and start to notice a deeper breath. Start to notice a slightly longer exhale. Take another deeper inhale through the nose and an exhale through the mouth. And as you create this soothing circular breathing motion, try to get comfortable with that. And whatever thoughts come up, no matter what it is, no matter what you're dealing with today, try to just acknowledge it for a moment and accept everything you can with love. Try to love what's coming up as well as paying attention to your breath, no matter what it is. Give yourself permission for just these few moments we're all together to observe your thoughts and be with your breath. Tell your thoughts. You can act on them later. You can get to the thing later. You'll be there later, but for now you're doing this, and that's okay. 100% your thoughts are going to be there later. They'll be waiting. I'm not sure if someone's trying to talk to us. You can if you want, but if not, begin again. Just practicing coming back to your thoughts, coming back to your breath, and just looking, looking at your thoughts with the intention to interact versus react. So you're acknowledging any thought that comes up. And if no thoughts come up, if it's just empty space, acknowledge that. Try to be like okay with that. And so when you briefly acknowledge every thought with a little love and a little compassion, no matter what it is, those emotions, those sentiments release positive emotions, positive chemicals, which are positive emotions, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. As you hold space for anything that's coming up within you, as you sit with your breath and you're acknowledging your breath like another person in the room respectfully, as well as acknowledging any thoughts, anything, any feelings that come up with a little love and compassion. And remember, like love loves love, right? Love loves stress. Love loves fear. Anything that comes up, love will love it. And if stress or discomfort come up, hate hates love and love hates hate. Like love loves hate. So I'm sorry, I'm just giving you an example of a bit of a flow of energy. So we're just practicing sitting with what is there and noticing maybe the calmness of the situation. For some, this might be easy. For some, this might be smooth. And for some, this might be difficult. even if this is something you've practiced many times, sometimes it can still be difficult on a bad day, on a stressful day, when too much is piling up. Sometimes it can be more difficult to just simply sit with these thoughts and feelings. But no matter when, no matter when these thoughts come up, like right now, we're practicing simply observing. And we're just observing the simplicity, the tranquility of the present moment. Hopefully, it's calm in the space between my words, in the space between your thoughts. And this continuous acknowledging what comes up, accepting it, and allowing it to pass, like with grace. And now, just as an intro to sitting with your thoughts and sitting with that which is coming up, try to stay with your breath and just come back to the space. Kind of just allow the meditation to fade and allow yourself to come back to like the collective group, maybe the collective energy that you sense in this group, if you do. You can keep some of that stillness with you, that stillness, you can bring it to your awareness and carry it forward. But that space that we just left, just knowing that space exists and knowing that that space is there for you at any time that you need, anytime that you can access it, that space will bring the tranquility to the body, which will bring tranquility to the thoughts. Accepting and acknowledging something with love releases dopamine, releases oxytocin. It drops your body into a parasympathetic nervous system. From there, you can rest, you can digest. Your thoughts are clearer. Different parts of your brain are activated in the parasympathetic nervous system, the front part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, this the front part, the part that's responsible for rationale and creativity and acknowledging beauty and coming up with good ideas, that part of your brain gets activated during this practice in that safe space. And if you practice this more and take this stillness, take those good emotions, take those good chemicals, take that confidence as far into your day as you can, slowly with lived experience, you could potentially see the value in this. So, and just invite everyone to come back to the space. Mike, I know we're going to hold space after this for a group discussion. And if anyone wants to come there and share any of this experience or talk about it or maybe make sense of it more with some words, of course, we're going to do that. But I just noticed that for today on Spiritual Sundays, we have like a shorter practice, an intro to that. So perhaps, Mike, if you wanted, you could talk to us about how you feel right now, or what any of that meant to you. Would you mind?
Yeah, cool. Oh, and just chief of staff, just so you know, you are if you're okay being on the live stream, you leave your camera on, but we're still because we're still live streaming at the moment. So if you're happy to be on the live stream, then I'll go into okay, cool. Yeah, well, do you know, so several things came up for me. So one thing is you you know when you do this kind of work, you do realize just how many thoughts that you have. You just it's just this kind of constant thing going on. And then there's a nice moment, I think, when if you I think I think the idea of progress is a difficult one because I certainly find that, I think I just do my practices and seek to be notice when I'm being judgmental and notice when I'm being unkind to myself, notice when I'm being dismissive of the people because my mind does that. It just does it. And then I notice that I'm doing it and I've managed personally I've got to the point where I don't give myself a hard time for that. I've just kind of accepted that that's what my mind does. I guess it's coming back to this idea of making an effort. It's like if you're making an effort to do it differently, I think even if it's just a tiny little effort, that's a good thing, and that's something to hold on to. And then what really hit me was during that guided meditation was love loves hate, love loves separation, love loves beauty, but love loves everything. So when you're connecting to when beginning to think like that and give yourself permission to have loving thoughts, to have loving thoughts about yourselves. We live in we live in a society that's taken the idea of love and has kind of commodified it, and so and sexualized it as well. But just to be loving towards a plant, towards a person, towards an environment, to an animal, to a young children are wonderful. Just just being loving towards oneself and to others, and including being loving towards the difficult thoughts that we have. If we enter into that as a practice, you know, our rational mind or the false self or the ego self is going to kind of throw up a lot of barriers to that because it's such a powerful practice. I guess that's what came up for me when during the meditation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man, those are powerful sentiments for sure, Mike. Yeah, that we have a lot of thoughts. Yeah,
So
yeah, those are strong.
we were moving on to a different format, weren't we, Mason? Because we said we'd have like a 40-minute sort of podcast conversation with a practice, and then we'd open up for Q&A.
Hmm.
Yeah. And for the Q&A, I think the idea was just to have that privately on the Zoom. So if anybody's on YouTube live, watching it on the YouTube live stream, and you wanted to come in and join the Zoom, if you go to Courses for Spirit, so that's courses, COURSES, for FOR Spirit, SPIRIT, all one word, coursesforspirit.ca /workshops, then there's a button there and you can click it and it'll bring you straight into the Zoom. Because we're going to say goodbye now to YouTube, and
Yeah.
then we're going to go into the private Q&A. So courses for spirit.ca workshops, and then you can just join us on the Zoom. Mason, did you want to say anything else before we come off YouTube live?
I want to say one more thing that may go on YouTube that we could talk about in the discussion group. But if anyone's still listening who is watching it on YouTube, the what I want to say about your reflection on this meditation is yeah, the judgments come up. This is what I want to say. Judgments do come up. Even for me, I feel like I'm practicing safe space and non-judgment all the time. But of course, even all the time, like every day, I find my judgment comes up. I look at the news, I look at this, it comes up in all the normal places. Started getting a hold of the habit that, oh, the judgment is going to actually come up automatically, and it's how I react to it. It's how I react to that thought that is that's like where I have the choice. Because I was trying to choose to not judge things all the time. Like okay, I'm gonna not judge things anymore. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be non-judgmental, and that's like morally great. And so I'll just do that. But um that was impossible because I was judging everything and it was happening automatically. And I'm like, oh, I judged that. And then I'm feeling guilt and shame. And I mentioned before, those are just toxic emotions that kind of get in the way of everything. And then I was like, okay, well, this acceptance practice that I do, let's just try that. Let's just try accepting that I judge things. Let's just try like, oh, acknowledging like, oh, I judge something. And as soon as I do that, like even if it's the ugliest thing, you know, I just acknowledge, oh, that's what it is. And it's like as soon as I accept it, it's like it's done. It's finished. And I find when judging something that I shouldn't be, or I'm judging whatever, it, even as the judgment comes out and I accept it in my mind, it's like, oh, that's it. Oh, that's all I had to say. It's like you it sounds like wrong. So just accepting it and how you react to the judgment is something important I wanted to say. Yeah, that was my practice. So that's that. That's kind of all the on the topic we could cram in. I still have notes, and I feel like we could talk about this creating safe space like endlessly. But yeah, the words that came up today are the ones that happened naturally. So
Yeah. Well,
anyway, yeah, thank you, Mike. Thanks everyone.
why don't we get you and I, we can get together and we can record some things, and we can record some resources for people who want to kind of explore it deeper. Because I mean, all of the subjects that we open up on the Spiritual Sundays live, I mean, all of them, they're huge topics, so we can only really sort of touch on key parts of it. But I guess the I think the important thing for us, and we've talked about this, but I think the important thing for me is that is actually providing a space where people can come together, um, and to to experience just being together around these ideas. Because I one of the things that we didn't really talk about yet is one reading spiritual texts that are nourishing. I mean, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but the Vietnamese monk Thich Nhat Hanh, he and his books are so compassionate. He embodied compassion. The way he talks to his judgmental thoughts is going, "Hello, my dear. Hello, my love. What do you want to show me today?" He's so welcoming of the critical thoughts. Because if we think that we're not allowed to have self-critical thoughts or critical thoughts about other people, we're doomed. I think because we do have them. You know, we just do. We do it. I mean, I drove up the motorway today. I mean, I had a few choice moments on the motorway with me possibly doing slightly silly things. I mean, and or the motorist doing silly things, and that's a great place to train. It's like it's kind of it just I was able to just let it go, and I was not like that when I started these practices. I just wasn't
That,
like
that, yeah, yeah, not to interrupt, Mike, but that's those moments where it's difficult, those are the key moments to practice. Those are where like the hard choices to make, that's where you develop the new neurons and you develop the new habit, and that's where it starts. It's good to practice from a place when we're calm and nice and it's like easy to do and gentle. You do that for a while, and then you start practicing, oh, when things get really tough. Yeah.
yeah. So okay, thank you to everybody for joining us on YouTube Live. We're going to stay on the Zoom, so if you do want to come and join us on the Zoom, we're going to be here for about another half an hour, I think, aren't we?
Sure, of
Something
course,
like
yeah.
that. It will be here for about another
Yeah,
half
yeah.
an hour on Zoom. So that's courses for, we should have a little thing that comes up on the screen. I'll just say it again. So coursesforspirit.ca. And if you want to join the Zoom, and then we're just going to take questions and comments. But I'm just going to stop the YouTube live thing first.
Cool.